Good morning. I'm freezing. It's 25 degrees here. I just checked my elevation and I'm at about 7,500 feet. I slept really well last night. I was nice and warm and cozy, but now that I'm out of the sleeping bags, it's cold. My car is heating up right now. I'm gonna hop in and drive to El Morro National Monument. So this rocky cliff jutting out on the left here is El Morro, which means the headland, I think. I think that's what the little brochure that I have said. So the main thing to see here is called Inscription Rock, and there's a little pool, a little oasis at the base of the cliffs over here. And so that has brought people throughout the centuries. First the Native Americans went to that pool and inscribed their names, or inscribed petroglyphs in the cliff. And then the Spanish explorers came through and inscribed their names. And then the American pioneers, settlers. And from 1100 to 1400, ancestral Puebloan people lived on top of the cliff here. Which I didn't know. I didn't know that there were ruins up on top of the cliff. That's interesting. And then from 1539 to 1774, the Spanish explorers came through looking for cities made of gold. The first Spanish inscription carved here is that of Governor Don Juan de Onate in 1605, and the last is 1774. And then after that, military expeditions came through the area, and then immigrants en route to California came through the area and carved their names on the rock. Very cool rock formation here. It is hazy out today. There is a fire somewhere in the area. Okay, so I went into the visitor center, got my little pamphlet and a little loan copy of this laminated sheet that includes information about some points and some inscriptions along the trail. Here's the visitor center. There's a paved loop apparently that goes along here. This is the main attraction. There's a pool and all of the inscriptions are along here. And then there's a longer loop trail, this green line here, that goes up on top of the mesa. And there's some Native American ruins right here. And so I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go here, hit up the pool and the inscriptions, and then do the longer loop, which I think it's 2 miles total. So this is the main attraction. This is why people have been coming here for centuries. There's this little pool at the base of the cliff here. Interestingly, this is not a spring, but is water fed from runoff from the cliffs above here. You can see the black water streaks here, and here, and here. It says when full, the pool is about 12 feet deep and holds about 200,000 gallons of water. The pool never empties, but evaporation can shrink it from its banks until it is refilled by precipitation. Here's the pool kind of in this alcove over here. The pool was first recorded by Europeans in 1583 when a Spanish explorer came through. The pool has kind of an interesting modern history too. It was enlarged in the 1920s so that ranchers could feed their cattle here, and then rockfall came down and filled it up. And then the rock was removed, and then they built a dam here to make sure that this water would stay in. So moving around the corner from the pool, this is where I think we're going to start seeing inscriptions. There are more than 2,000 inscriptions and petroglyphs on the rock here. That is crazy. People had some fancy handwriting, fancy rock scrawling back in the day. That guy, Breckenridge, was in charge of, or was part of a military expedition through here in the 1800s, and he was in charge of the camels that were used on that expedition. They wanted to see if camels would work well in this environment. This area used to be part of New Spain, used to be under Spanish control. Here's some Spanish inscription. Basically this guy said that he came here in 1709 and passed through here on his way to Zuni, which is a Native American settlement. Those inscriptions they look kind of gray or black. That's because they were an early attempt at preservation. The early park superintendents took graphite pencils and traced over the inscriptions. You can see this row of sheep, these petroglyphs here. And then above that, the Spanish inscription from the 1600s. 1636 to be exact. Here's the oldest inscription right here. It's from 1605. And to put that into perspective, that was 15 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. And just lots of inscriptions. You can see some of these spots here where they're kind of blank areas. This is where there were some more recent inscriptions after 1906 that the first superintendent in like the 1920s or 30s decided to remove, so he just deleted them from the wall. Spanish inscription from 1716. Here's the longest inscription here. Again, it's in Spanish from 1620. And again, basically about how brave and full of valor and courage and how obedient this guy was. Okay, that's it. That's the last of the inscriptions. I mean, there are so many that I didn't go over. I don't know how interesting this is just to look at inscriptions, but being here in person, it's pretty cool. I like it. I'm gonna now take my little laminated pamphlet thing, drop it in, and then continue hiking up the trail. I'm gonna do the trail that goes up on top of the rock and then back down. This big old rock formation here is called Woodpecker Rock, I think. I like that, it's a good name for it. I'm on top of the mesa now. Some cool rock formations down in there. Nice views out over the countryside now. To the north, there's the highway down there. Here's Woodpecker Rock again. Now up here you're supposed to follow these two parallel lines. These were made in the 1920s or 30s by one of the superintendents. He just pecked a lot of little holes in the rock. So I'm at the ruins of Atsina on top of the mesa here. It was occupied from 1275 to 1400 by ancestors of today's Zuni people. 18 rooms were excavated, but there were 800 rooms here at the peak. These are what were excavated, but again, that sign said that there were 800 rooms here. You can see little mounds all over the place. These are the unexcavated ruins. Okay, back at the car. It took me about an hour and 20 minutes to do that whole loop. And that was cool. That was very unique, seeing all of those inscriptions, especially those old Spanish ones. I thought those were especially interesting. I'm gonna go to Gallup now, which is a town an hour and 9 minutes from here, 55 miles away, it says. Yeah, I'm just gonna spend most of the day in Gallup at the library. And I also need to buy more groceries there and get some ice and some more drinks and, you know, just lots of little things I need to do. Yeah, let's hit the road and I'll catch up with you again at some point in the future. I like New Mexico license plates. Some of them say Chili Capital of the World on them. Turning onto Route 66 here in Gallup. This is what my cooler looks like after a food run. It's mostly ice, and then a layer of drinks on top, and then my little rack setup thing with all the food on top. Okay, let me get you all caught up. It's 2:25 right now. I'm still in Gallup. I went to the library, couldn't get any of my devices to connect to the Wi-Fi there. So I wasn't there for very long. I did a little bit of research just on my phone using the LTE. I went to Del Taco, got 3 tacos for $1.61. Crazy cheap. And then I got gas, and I'm headed out of town. I'm going to go to Chaco Canyon, and I'm going to try to get a campsite in the park tonight. That's something that I basically never do. I never pay for a campsite, A. I never camp in national parks, B. So this should be interesting, but I'm doing it just because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but mostly I don't know what the land situation is in that area. I don't have a New Mexico atlas. I don't know the Native American land boundaries, and so it's just easier for me to spend the night in the park if I can. If not, I have a backup plan that I can always do, but I'm hoping that there are some walk-in sites open, because it's too soon to make reservations online. Like, I'm going to be there in a couple hours, and I don't think you can make a reservation before a day or two in advance. So it's 2 hours away, 91 miles. Okay, I've got 20 miles now of driving on dirt roads. If they're just bumpy, I can handle it. Hopefully it's not too terribly rutted. Chaco Culture Natural Historic Park and World Heritage Site. Alright, pulling into the Visitor Center. Success! I got a campsite. It is $15 a night. And I was trying to think the last time I paid for a campsite, when that was. I think in the last 200 nights of camping, I've paid for 2 campsites. This will be the 3rd. But yeah, I got my campsite. I'll go check that out now. And then in the visitor center there are a bunch of little pamphlets and booklets you can get for different trails and different sets of ruins. I got one of each. Each one is $1 to $2, so it was $3 for, it was $10 for all of them. I don't really know much about this place. I just know that it's supposed to be pretty spectacular, and so I just got one of each to see, to read through it all to see what exactly I wanted to do tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll be studying those tonight and deciding whether I want to do some longer backcountry hikes or if I want to just drive up to the sites. So there are some ruins, some sets of ruins that you can drive to and some that you can hike to. So I'll be planning out my trip tonight. But for now, let's go check out my campsite. I just don't like camping near other people. It's just not my idea of fun. Well, this is it. This is what I paid $15 a night for. Got a little pull out on the side of the road. That's where I'll be sleeping. And then there's a picnic table, fire pit, and a tent pad. What a ripoff. Here's another view of it from the road. The bigger rigs are over there. The tent campers are over here. I chose this spot because it's kind of secluded from most of the others. I think I'm going to do a hike. I don't really want to spend more time here in this campground than I have to. And there's a hike that starts basically from the campground here. At the entrance to the campground, there is a trailhead to these ruins that I want to hike to. So I'll get my gear together and then do that. I think it's 3 miles total, 1.5 miles each way. And there's a ruin and also some rock art to see. So this place is called Chaco Culture Natural Historic Park. And from what I gather, the Chaco people, or Chacoan people, they started inhabiting this area in the 800s. By the 1100s and 1200s, this area was the hub. This valley here, Chaco Canyon, was the hub of a vast network of roads and trade routes and things like that. And the buildings here had hundreds of rooms. They were enormous. And I think that's what that's the notable thing about this place. The area went into decline in the 1200s, but the pamphlet that I read said that a lot of the tribes that are in the southwestern US today are descendants of this culture, of Chacoan culture. And it seems that the thing that makes Chaco Canyon so impressive and so notable is those huge complexes of buildings. They're called great houses, and again, hundreds of rooms, multiple stories. That's this place's claim to fame. The biggest of the great houses are here in Chaco Canyon. Okay, I've arrived at Wijiji, which is a great house from the 1100s and a sacred site. So the pamphlet says that this particular great house is noticeable, or I guess is notable, for its for the quality of its masonry work. And yeah, that does not look 900 years old. Thick walls too, thicker than other Native American ruins that I've seen. These are probably a good 2 feet thick. Behind the ruins here, there's a trail to some pictographs. Well, you can't get very close to the pictographs, but I see some up here. Let's zoom in a little bit. There's a hand print right there. Lots more over here. They're bones of some unfortunate creature. It's interesting rock art, but I mean, you're so far away from it, you can barely see it. I understand the desire and the necessity to put a barrier between people and the rock art, but put it, 5 or 10 feet out and not 30. The actual ruins themselves are cordoned off behind a rope here, so you can't really get too close to them. One last look before we leave here of that perfect stonework and masonry work. Okay, well, not sure how to feel about that. I mean, it's better than sitting back at camp. Not a jaw-droppingly impressive place. I think that some of the other great houses are more like that. And, I didn't really know what to expect coming here, and so I didn't really expect much, but, it's fine. If you have the time, it's worth seeing. Or if I had just stumbled across these on top of some high mesa in the desert somewhere, that would be pretty special. But when there's this groomed dirt road to the spot, and then there's rope all around it, rope around the rock art, you do lose something when it's a little bit more sanitized like that. These are all the little pamphlets I got earlier today at the visitor center. I think I'm going to end today's video here. I'm just going to sit down with these bad boys and go through them and see what exactly I want to see and do tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your favorite part was, and also let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.